Week 16, everyone. Oh my gosh, where has the season gone?
It's
Good games?
crazy how fast it's gone. I was actually thinking of doing this podcast with red wine in my hand because the Chiefs are out, and it would have been really fun. As my wife sleeps behind me. A little celebratory podcast. I was thinking about doing it. The Christmas spirit, some eggnog, little Santa hat.
Yeah.
It's the gift I think every fan wished would happen to the Patriots. It didn't happen once. It was
what
quite
a
shocking.
magnanimous drop from fortune for them. I mean, yeah.
To lose Mahomes on a torn ACL to end the season,
Yeah.
which now just puts their whole next season in flux. Like, same thing with Michael Parsons. They got to do something. I don't know if it's me or I wasn't paying attention when I was younger, but it feels like ACLs are just snapping like twigs this year. In the last few years.
Quite a few guys have lost them. Yeah.
No other sports has these ACL problems, like soccer, football, as much as anybody with their moves and that. And they're not. Maybe it's the weight and the size of them. Maybe I think that's probably part of it.
Weight, size, and grass, maybe too.
They need to figure out something. I don't know if there's they need to do studies into this because you can't keep losing guys like, Micah Parsons and this, especially in the late playoff runs. It's just decimating for teams. I don't know how you recover mentally when you lose guys like that.
It's a lot of injuries. I don't know if it's the turf or what's happened, but if you look at all the ACL injuries that people are out now, it is quite shocking and surprising. The fall, obviously, as a Bears fan, you never want to celebrate someone getting injured, but losing Micah ahead of our game, Christian Watson also being out, which we'll get into all those. A lot of injuries that are late season that don't really help a lot of people when you're trying to make that push. And then you have other guys like Tua, who's not injured, but he's benched, which we'll get into as well. Because there was also some things, I mean, you look at we look at last week and Joe Burrow and the Bengals getting shut out by the Ravens. Surprisingly, he seems to have given up. Like, he really seems, I don't care.
Yeah. Like, if sadness was an NFL player, this is the guy we're looking at. Like, he's miserable. And the thing is, like, there's all this talk. Is like, do you trade Burrow? If you trade Burrow, you got to trade Chase. There's no way Jamar Chase is staying in Cincinnati without Joe Burrow. And then T. Higgins. It feels like this could just be like one of the all-time. Maybe they'll have like the first 10 picks in the draft if they trade everyone. If they trade T. Higgins, trade Jamar Chase, trade Joe Burrow. But I mean, they got to do something. I think it's either they need to fire the coach and get kind of a, Zach Taylor's got. I know he's had injuries and dealt with Burrow being out, but it kind of feels like he needs some new blood, especially with that defense being as bad as it is and not being able to really do anything. But yeah, he looks like a broken human being. I don't know what it is, but it's maybe he got dumped. Maybe he's heartbroken. He's just not being able to take it. He's not Joe Cool. He's Joe Heartbreak.
It's the other thing I think is I think it's top down, a bit of a top down rot, because when you look at the ownership, and there was a famous photo from last weekend when there was snow all in the stadium, and normally they clean it. They're like, no, you clean it yourselves. Like, they made the fans clean their own seats, even the disabled area. The people had to clean their own areas, and you're like, how cheap? And you just hear about everything with the Trey Hendricks going, like with Hendrickson going on there, that, the deal that was done with them, they just seem really cheap and miserly. I don't know if there's a Scroogeness going on there.
This situation already happened. This is Carson Palmer all over again. Carson Palmer threatened retirement, and they traded him, I think, to the Raiders. He was terrible on the Raiders, and they retired. Then he went to Arizona and kind of had a second coming of his career. Yeah. But it feels like it's going down this path. I don't think he'll get traded. I think people will come for it. But, I mean, if you trade Joe Burrow, that's like trading Gretzky back in the day, but maybe not as bad. But because Joe Burrow hasn't won 4 cups. It's going to make the offseason a bit more interesting, I think, this whole Joe Burrow story, especially if they keep, getting shut out as the season goes on.
Yeah. Well, maybe we need a Bruce McNall in the league. He was good for sports and Gretzky. We got some great games going on this week, and it's also maybe playoffs if you're in the fantasy. I know you and I face each other in one of our leagues.
We did
this week as well, and
I got eliminated in my other ones last week, so I'm quite.
Did you?
It was really upsetting. But
I'm still alive.
I didn't really have a great team, so I was kind of fine with it, to be honest with you. My team was terrible. I shouldn't even have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I just have to beat Zared, and people who are listening might know him. He'll be listening to this one. I got you, man. I got you. He's been trying to taunt. Let's get into a taunting game. Man, talk about the great Thursday night game to
Ooh.
start with, because some of the Christmas games next week suck.
It's
Talk
a
about this
Christmas
game.
gift to Al Michaels. It's a Christmas
It
gift to Al
is. It
Michaels.
is. He'll be
'Cause
happy in this one.
he's been very Joe Burrow like in the booth, where he's just like, "What am I
Yeah.
doing? No one deserves
What's going
to
on with
watch
these
anything."
games?
He's showing like
Yeah.
phone things on his phone. He's watching porn.
Yeah.
He's just doing anything.
Because it's those Amazon games where it feels like sometimes it's like porch pirates have taken away all the presence of it. We got two teams 11-3 though, and the last time they faced, Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts again because the Rams defense was all over him. The Rams are 1-point favorites in this one. Seattle, two teams 11-3, over under 44. Seattle at home in this one. Is it going to be any different this time, or do you see a Rams victory, or can the Seahawks try to hold off a Rams team that got beat a couple weeks ago, but they're looking good. They beat Detroit last week too.
Yeah, it's a tough one. They don't know if they are, but they're probably without Devontae Adams. Him pulling up with a hamstring near the end of the season is not great. I think you kind of have to shut him down for the playoffs if you're smart. You got Puka Nacua going on streaming channels and threatening to do anti-Semitic touchdown dances. That's a nice thing in your little offseason.
And his brother stealing an NBA player's car.
It's just, so it's been a good week for the Nacuas. Which everyone's like, "Oh, Puka, we liked you. We didn't know you were just a streamer, bro." And then you're like, "Oh, man. All right." So no one really. Now it's just like no one cares about Puka Nacua. I kind of like Seattle in this one. I think they're just kind of. I think JSN can have a big game. I think Darnold needs to have a good December. I think from what happened last year with the couple bad games he had at the end of the year, which were atrocious, it cost him the division, then the playoffs. I think that's a big. I think Seattle's got the better kind of team. Not team. I think with play calling and offensive talent, it will go to the Rams. But I like the Seattle defense. I think they're going to make it really hard on Stafford, especially without. If they can limit this and kind of take away Puka with no Devontae Adams, I think it's going to make the options a lot harder for Stafford. He's not going to be able to kind of light it up and have the cakewalk he's had the last couple. So I see this as kind of a bit of a not as high scoring game as people say. I think the fact that Seattle just needs to kind of get JSN going. He was on pace to break the NFL record a couple weeks ago, and he's kind of just hasn't been able to kind of reach the mountaintop like he's done the last couple weeks. But I'm going to give Sam Darnold a little bit of credit and say that he's able to kind of shake this off. I think the division, this is for the division, this is for everything. And I think I'm going with who has the better defense. I'm going with this one, especially in December. It's defense. It's running the ball. It's just being smart. And I'm going to go with Seattle. I'm going to regret this. I know that. But I'm going to go with Seattle to win 26-23. Little bit of an Is it an upset? Yeah,
I think it is an upset because the Rams are favored by 1. So I got to go with the Rams based on, obviously the Adams thing hurt and the drama in the news. But I just look at the way that these two teams played each other the last time, and Seattle got smacked around. I mean, Darnold was getting sacked all over the place. You talk about defense. I got to go with the Rams in terms of defense here, and I got to go with them in terms of being able to hold this down. Once you take Darnold out of the game, and you have him seeing ghosts again, I can't see him doing very well in this one, and I think McVay's the better coach in this. So I've got it 26-18. Rams win in this one. I think it'll be an exciting game. It is only 44 points over under. I think it's going to start out slow and could be something like 7-3 at the half, and then it just gets points in the second half. Let's head into our Saturday game. Saturday, everyone. That's right. At the holidays are here. Screw your family. Watch some football. This will be after the Jake Paul fight on Friday. Everyone's going to be watching that. It's against Anthony Joshua. Oh, man. Let's get into this one. Philadelphia shellacked the Raiders last week. They're 9-5, heading into a Washington team who they got a win, too, over the Giants, but they're still 4-10. Philly's favored by 6 in this one. 44.5 is the over-under. Philly starting to get their stuff back together. It's time for the playoff run, though, but they have lost 5. They don't look like the same team that they should be. But how do you like them going into Washington?
I mean, I don't think you're allowed to say they're back when you play the Raiders and you beat the Raiders. The Raiders are such a bad football team right now that I don't think I've seen anything as bad as the Raiders in the couple. It's very Jets-esque. It's like straight to DVD Jets. It's just as bad. It's gone so bad for them. And to think that Philly again, even Philly, Saquon couldn't even get 100 yards against them. It was just you were just playing an inept team with Kenny Pickett playing. They had
Yeah.
no offense. They couldn't do anything. I think unfortunately this is just Philly walking into a Washington team that's been kind of frisky with Mariota. They almost beat Denver. They had that crazy game in Denver where they almost won. They ended up having did they win? They won last week. They had a big kind of
Yeah,
little
beating
win
the
last
Giants last
week.
week.
Yeah, beating the Giants. To me, I
Yeah.
think Philly, these games are always kind of tricky. I think Washington keeps it close. I think, McCroskey, or what his name is, had a good kind of game running. And I just think McLaurin, they're able to kind of move the ball. And I think Philly, as good as that defense is, it hasn't been as good lately. And I just don't,
Hmm.
I'm just dismissing the Raider game altogether. And I think we go back to the kind of struggling Philly where, it's not as easy. It's a little bit closer. So I think Philly win, but I'm going to go 24-20. I think this is kind of a close game. Mariota just kind of shown that he's probably top three backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Like I think
Hmm.
you feel like you're in good hands if Mariota comes in. He's not going to light up the score, but he can take it to the wire. He can put up touchdowns. He was a top three pick years ago, so he's
Yeah.
still got a bit of that juice left in him. He's done well considering he retired halfway through a season with the Falcons a couple of years ago, and
Yeah.
he's back. I'm going to go with the Eagles, but I think it's going to be a struggle for them. I don't think they're going to walk over anybody.
I don't know. To me, that it was an emotional win for Washington. I don't know if they've got enough in the tank to keep two games close. I mean, New York's obviously dog shit, but I think Philadelphia sort of gets right in this one, is able to put up more points. I've got them to win 28-16. I think they win by more than 6. I just find that, at this point, Saquon is going to get running in this game. This is a game that he needs. I could see him having 100 yards. Not that I need it for fantasy, although it would help for one of my teams. But yeah, I think Philadelphia gets it done here. They played their ass off last week, get that win against the Giants, and I don't know how much they'll have left. Heading into Chicago for Saturday night game. Bears 10-4, Packers 9-4-1. Doesn't look like Watson will be back. Definitely Micah Parsons will not be back.
Well, Watson did practice. I think he's going to be a game time decision. I think he'll push it if he has to.
We'll see what happens. The Packers are 1-point favorites heading into Chicago, where our defense is starting to come alive. 46.5 is the over-under in this one. You bet against my Bears last time, and you thought that Cleveland would cover. I did too, but they blew them out last week. How do you like Chicago's chances at home in this one?
Chicago to win this. I think being at home, I think the fact that Micah Parsons is out, I just think that's going to just be such a devastating injury to the defense, where the way the Chicago's getting a bit hot, moving the ball. Again, I'm still not Caleb's still not, it's been a really good year, but it wasn't that next step that you thought. Maybe next year is that next step and it just takes them another year. But I think, again, this defense just gets takeaways. And I think, again, they're one of the best in the league at getting takeaways. The running game's working with the double-headed monster. Even though Robert Dunze has started out hot, really disappeared, DJ Moore started to kind of come back when he was disappearing. So I don't know if it's that they can't work together or one of them has to be out for the other to really succeed. But I just think Ben Johnson's just kind of got this team believing in themselves with the division. And I just think if Christian Watson is even at 50%, I think losing Micah Parsons, they lost Tucker Kraft, Jacobs is kind of banged up, playing in the really kind of cold, miserable Chicago. I think Bears take this. I think it's close. I'm going to go 23-20 Bears with a huge kind of home win.
Well, not surprisingly,
Obviously,
I'm going to take my
what you're
Bears.
picking.
I'm going to take the Bears to win. I got them 23. I think this is Ben Johnson does have everyone going. There's excitement. He had said in September that December will be our month, and thus far it has been. So I like us to get the win here, put us to 11-4, and also really start taking a leap in this division as well, making sure that we can get closer to those playoff chances. I think the Bears, they're supposed to be warming up. It's actually warming up in North America right now, so I think a lot of the snow is going to melt, and so it won't be that cold. It'll be nice. It'll be good Bears weather, good football. Bears win 27. And the Packers lose with their 23 points. Bears beat up on Cleveland last week, and the Bills are heading into Cleveland on Sunday. Buffalo, big win over the Patriots last week. That was Josh Allen standing on his head. The baby is coming. The Bills are 10-4 and 10-point favorites over a 3-11 Browns team. They just look like Shadur last week against the Bears. Shadur. Yeah, 42.5 over under. I mean, are the Bills going to do the same thing? to the Browns, or you think that Myles Garrett can maybe try to up his sack record once again?
I mean, the thing with the Bills is that they're so frustrating. Is that they're so bad in the first. They're maybe one of the worst first half football teams I've ever seen in my life. They can't do anything. They were down 21-0 last week at the Patriots. Josh Allen 35 yards, and then it's like second half. Josh Allen has to do everything. Their receivers had one catch, or outside receivers, one catch for like 16 yards. They're James Cook dependent, who's been great, probably going to win the rushing title, and I think he doesn't get enough credit. I think everyone always says Josh Allen has to do everything himself, but James Cooks might win the rushing title, so let's give him, a little bit of respect. I think the Bills are getting healthier at defense a little bit. They were banged up last week. But I think, again, to me, Josh Allen in December is a different animal. I think they're locked in. They're ready to go. I think I think Myles Garrett can get the sack record. I hope he doesn't, not against Josh Allen, but he's literally the only guy you have to game plan against. Shadur looked terrible last week, and I think Sean McDermott's going to have some kind of tricks with them. Shadur's not really a guy who can kind of escape, so Buffalo should be able to get some pressure, force him into some bad passes, and get some turnovers. I just think this is just a talent. Like Josh Allen versus Shadur, I'm sorry. I'm going to take Josh Allen all day. I'm going to go 27-14 win. But I think, again,
Okay.
I think the first half's going to be tricky. I think Buffalo maybe it's like 10-7 Buffalo at half, and it's just another one of those, let's figure it out, see what they're doing. To me, Josh Allen's locked in. They still got a chance at that division as long the Pats have Baltimore on Sunday night. So I think the Bills are ready to go. I think Josh Allen he's hearing all the talk. No Mahomes, maybe no Burrow, maybe no Lamar. This is his time, and I think he's ready even to kind of make a little push for the MVP again. He's just going to go nuclear, I think, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it feels like he might have had a voodoo doll this season that he finally broke of Patrick Mahomes, because it's got to be a weight off his shoulders to have that. As you say, James Cook does a lot of the work for Josh Allen, and rumor has it he did most of the work in getting Haley Steinfeld pregnant, and then Josh just pushed it over the line for the 1 yard at the end.
Tush push.
Just a little tush push. Hey, I think Quishon Judkins is going to have a good. They're going to have to rely on him, but there's going to be only so much that Shadur. Eventually, when you're down so much, he's going to have to start throwing the ball around. So, again, Myles Garrett, I think, might get a sack out of this one, and he's on
he's
pace
only
to
a
get
sack
that record.
and a half away. One and a half.
Sack and a half.
One and
and
a half.
he got that half at the Bears as well. 1.5 from Chicago. So I like Buffalo to win, but to your point, they're not demonstratively killing people like they should. They're not like. And I don't know what's going on with the wide receiver, so I think Cleveland's going to bounce back after getting shellacked. So, but I've got Buffalo to win, but Cleveland to cover it. I got an 8-point victory. Buffalo 24, Cleveland 16. The game that nobody wants to watch is the New York Jets, who are 3-11, going into New Orleans, who are 4-10. New Orleans 4.5-point favorites in this one. 48.5 is the over-under. New Orleans at home. Nobody really wants. It's just two teams that are not going anywhere. How do you see this game going with, we don't even really know who's going to be quarterbacking this time.
Well, it's
if they're going to.
What is it? It's the cook versus the shucker. The basically is what it is. It's a little chef battle. The cook versus the clam shucker. This is a terrible game. I think if anything, the Saints are like what you wish the Jets would have been. Saints are kind of frisky. Tyler Shuck's playing some good football. He's being competent. He's getting Olave the ball. Neal was doing well, and I think he might have got banged up last game, but they're at least competitive. They're fighting every week. They were able to beat the Carolina last week, who's going for the division. So to me, I mean, I just can't bet the Jets. They're literally playing with some of the worst talent I've ever seen out there. They're a completely broken team. I even watch it with Jets fans, and they're even chanting PUNT, 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 punt. They're just completely broken. Like their spirit, they need the Christmas spirit more than anybody. The Jets, because I think they're officially broken. So I think the Saints are a much better team. I think the Jets are up there with the Raiders and the Titans as the top three worst teams in the league. And I think the Saints are kind of like one of those teams where it's like maybe I think they're going to go with Shuck next year, kind of ride it out, and maybe kind of go for Arch Manning the next year if they're bad. I think the Saints are a fun team. They got some feistiness in them. They got some fight. And I think they just take care of business. I'm going to go 28-22.
I don't see a lot of points. And to your point, Shuck, I think it's fine, and why not give the guy a chance? It seems like Kellen Moore, despite not having a lot of things, is able to to get a little bit of excitement out of this team. I just don't know about 4.5 points. I can't go that far because I don't know if maybe the Jets are going to play with nothing to lose football. So I got it 20-17 that the Saints win, but the Jets cover this one. I still even red zone. I would rather watch a commercial than a red zone commercial than watch this on anywhere. How about JJ McCarthy, who's 9 and I don't know what the hell he's playing, but they are having they're playing some good football. They're 6-8, 3-point favorites going against the Giants team are 2-12. We talk about bad teams. I mean, bad beats for the Giants, losing a lot of guys to injury though. Giants at home in the ACL tearing Meadowlands Stadium. Minnesota, as I say, they're 3-point favorites in this one with a 43.5 over under. I don't know what you can really say here about this Giants team. Does Minnesota easily coast through with this 3-point favorites?
I mean, give it up for JJ McCarthy, considering he was like the most memed quarterback of all time going into a couple weeks ago. Like everyone was mocking him. He was playing so badly, and he was kind of getting soft benched, like kind of like soft injury, where it's like, yeah, he's hurt. Yeah, you know, even Kevin O'Connell's using air quotes in the press conference. But he's bounced back. The last couple of games, he's been solid. He's not turning it over as much. He's gotten a couple touchdowns both games. Justin Jefferson still can't get involved. He doesn't know. They're still not on the same page, which I think is a problem. They got that Flores defense. They got a decent running game. This should work. Everything's there, so it should work. Maybe it's just, again, I think there was just way too much pressure for him to kind of start out early. He had that kind of Bears victory first game of the season, which was kind of a bullshit looking back on it now. Considering what he did. But I think it's one of those things where I think a couple weeks ago, Vikings fans were ready to just be like, no, I'm done. I'm out. I can't. We need to get someone new. And now you're like, maybe he's kind of coming into it. We should give him one more year. I think he deserves another year. I think he did this. I don't know. Maybe you bring in someone, a more competent backup. I think you need in that. As for the Giants, I mean, it's just, losing Neighbors, losing Scatterbo. That defense, again, Abdul Carter, considering he was the number 2 pick, been a massive disappointment this year. Everyone thought this guy was going to be like another Myles Garrett, kind of coming in, getting sacks. He's been, there was like a story, he was watching porn in meetings and just getting, like he was like a British politician, watching porns in the House of Commons. Yeah. So, to me, the Giants are they're just got no chance. I think the Vikings are still, I think they're out of it. I don't think they can make it anyway. But I think this is just now, if you're a Vikings fan, this is JJ McCarthy. Look competent. Let's end the season on a high, maybe a couple 3-touchdown games, run a couple in, get Justin Jefferson happy. Let's feed him near the end of the year. So he could be a little sneaky bet against the Giants in this defense. I might take that this week and just, because he's been killing everyone betting-wise. I feel like he has to have a breakout game. So I'm going to go with 9 with the victory, and I'm going to go 30-23.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, Minnesota. I think the running game, because the Giants are really susceptible to run, so I could see Jones and even Addison, because, Mason, having a bit of yards here. It's just, I don't know with the passing game. He doesn't seem... he's just so up and down, but I can see the running game really being something the Giants can't really contend with. I got it 24-18. Minnesota wins in this one. They go to 7-8. It's still too far for them, with the way that everyone else is playing. Even if they run the table, they're still going to have those 8 ugly losses. I mean, so yeah, I got Minnesota to take this one. Another team who has been struggling is Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even having Mike Evans back last week, they just look like crap. The defense was playing so well as not, and they're playing their nemesis for the title, Carolina. Of course, it's a homecoming for Baker Mayfield going back to Carolina, the team that treated him like crap. Both teams are 7-7, but the Bucs are 3-point favorites as they try to get healthy again. 46 points over under. Carolina has got Dowdle and they've got Hubbard. They've got some good running game. These two know and hate each other, and obviously Baker hates the Panthers with a passion. After getting dumped by Atlanta last week, can you see Tampa Bay coming back, or is this Carolina going to win this one at home?
I mean, I think Tampa Bay has to, right? I think, again, a couple things. Yeah, that blowing that game last week. The way Mike Evans came back, he had 162 yards and walked out on his team before the field goal was even kicked, walking into the dressing room, and it's just an absolute disgrace the way they're getting fully healthy now. Godwin's back. Ibuka, who started really hot in the years, kind of disappeared completely. Bucky Irving's back. There's just no excuses anymore. And Baker, who was on like an MVP level at the beginning of the year, in December, it's just about finishing. And I think Baker has that pettiness to him that he wants to stick it to Carolina. If he's He's that guy, he's that kind of dude where he's just like, I want to light these guys up. I want to beat them. I think Carolina's just, again, we've talked about this all year. The consistency. It's like they beat who was it? Beat the Rams a couple weeks ago. Then
Yeah.
they lose to the Saints. And they lose to the Saints. And Bryce Young looks great one week. Bryce Young's terrible. And it's like, what do you even do with this? If you're a Carolina fan, it's like, I guess you got to bring Bryce back, but this is it. Like next year is like this is your last chance. You either start playing consistently well, or we move on from you. Because again,
Yeah.
what we've seen with Tua, watching guys like Tua out now getting benched, and it's like, yeah, that's what Bryce is. Not a big arm.
Yeah.
When they're in December, can he cut it through the cold weather? I know it's not a problem with Carolina and Tampa, but when you're on the road and you're gonna have a road playoff game, can you do this? I think Tampa's just got way too much more talent than they do. I think coming off a lot of bad losses, Todd Bowles has got to get this team going. Baker's bitter. Mike Evans is angry. I think Tampa Bay takes it. I'm gonna go 31 to 24.
I'm with you on this one. I mean, I think the locker room had to have been feisty last week after that loss. And I can see a lot of them recognizing, how did we fall so far? We had everything going, and now we're not really going as far. So, everyone talking about them being the number one seed, probably about 6 weeks ago, and now they're not. So now they're struggling. They're hopefully, trying to get this division. So they need to get this divisional game. They need to get this 8th win. I say Tampa Bay does it, but Carolina's not going to go away quietly. So I've got them to win, but I've got them to win by 4. I've got it 30 to 26. Tampa wins, and Baker does some good fantasy points in this one. Kansas City Chiefs are 6-8, and they're heading into a Tennessee team who smells blood in the water. Tennessee's 2-12. Kansas City's 3.5-point favorites in this one. 37.5 is the over/under in this game. What's Kansas City left to play for? I mean, in terms of who they've got under quarterback now.
What's a season without a little Minshew magic, right? We can't have a season without
Minshew mustache. Bring it up.
We need it. Minshew, no one plays better sitting for like 12 weeks and then coming into one game than Gardner Minshew. That Minshew's like, people are like, this guy can play. And then you're like, let's start him. And then they're like, nah, this guy can't play. But when he comes in that one game, there's the Minshew magic. It does exist. It's a thing.
Sure. Do you see it happening in this game, though?
Against the Titans? Yeah, I probably do.
Yeah.
I think, again, from a talent perspective, they're not equal. Like, again, I think, and you still have Andy Reid's a better play caller. You still have, Rashee Rice. You still have Travis Kelce. You still have Marquise Brown. Gardner Minshew's a competent backup, and he should be. We saw even when, what was it, Brady Quinn? No, not Brady Quinn. Who was their backup? That every time he did the Chiefs sold backup, they used to always come in. He was always like a lifelong backup. Can't remember his name was. Anyway, every time he came in, he was competent. He looked good. Even beat Cleveland in a playoff game. I think when Mahomes had that kind of knee thing. It's killing me what his name is. But anyway, I think they're just a better team. I think, again, have they just given up? That's going to be the team. Does this team have a bit of pride that they fight for? Or I think this team is going to be angry. They're going to take it out on Cam Ward. I think it's going to be I don't see it being a high scoring game, but I think Tennessee's just a bad football team. And Cam Ward, again, I think there's not much to take out of this year. I think, again, get him some weapons and see what it goes. But to me, there's still a coaching advantage. There's still a player advantage, even with a backup quarterback. I am going with the Chiefs to win it and break their streak and win.
Okay. I'm actually going to go with Tennessee in this one. I don't. The gas just feels out of it.
They've given up.
I think this is one of those ones where Cam Ward can actually put something together. I don't see a lot of high scoring in this one. I see Minshew making mistakes. And Tennessee at home, Christmas present for everyone. Travis Kelce looks like he's pissed. I think Taylor's not going to show up in Tennessee. She might show up in Tennessee.
She doesn't date losers. She doesn't date losers.
He's going to be dumped. Seeing if Justin Herbert's available. Yeah, so I've got Tennessee to win this one 18-16. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't know about Minshew mania. It just feels like the Chiefs, they're already sort of new. It feels like they've just been deflated. And I could see that Tennessee finding some gusto out of this. So I've got Tennessee with a surprise winning this one 18-16. The Chargers are underdogs going into Dallas. The Chargers are 10-4. And you go, why are they underdogs? Can get scored on Dallas is 6-7-1, and they're 2-point favorites. 49.5 over under. So Vegas is saying there's going to be points in this game. Dallas at home, Jerry will be watching, rubbing his greedy little hands together. Is it unfair that the Chargers, and it looks like he's playing with a broken hand or something. He's not playing very well at all.
He's getting murdered back there too. And he hasn't thrown for he can't throw for he's barely thrown for like 200 yards in like 7 or 8
Hmm.
weeks. Like it's just he's out there, he's getting murdered, but still winning every single week, no matter what, because that
Yeah.
defense is playing really hard.
Defense
You
is
know
holding him in it.
that
Yeah.
defense is really playing great. You know, Harbaugh just kind of gets stuff. I think the Cowboys have like a 1% chance, and I think. To me, I think the fact that they got Mario Hampton back is that they can at least they got Ed Vidal. They have like kind of a two-headed monster that makes it a bit easier. It's just been a
Yeah.
real disappointing act from Lab McConkey and Keenan Allen this year. Like the second half of the
Yeah.
season, you know, Keenan Allen the first 4 or 5 games looked like but we've seen that for the last couple of years. You saw it with the Bears. He started out really hot, and then December hits, Keenan Allen just kind of disappears. The age catches up. Maybe the
Yeah.
grind gets too much for him. I just think Dallas has nothing to play for. I think they can get scored on. Their defense stinks. And I think Dak, even the last couple games, just hasn't. He's had these moments, but I think going against good defenses, he struggles. And I think is Pickens' heart going to be in it? Is he really going to be trying? I know he's kind of already made his money, depending on what he sees. If he's already kind of checked out, being like, I'm into free agency mentally, I don't
Yeah.
know. I just think there's one team playing for something and one team that's kind of almost I think it's like a 1% chance. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers to win this. I think they're it's gonna be close. I'll go 27-24.
Yeah, I've got it 26-23 for the Chargers as well, and I think they've got to get this running game going. It just, there's not enough time. That offensive line is not giving him enough time. I know that they had made some changes. The guys are injured, but he's just getting creamed back there. So I like the Chargers, I think, in this one as well. Dallas has just got that porous defense. Yeah, Pickens can rip you apart, but that defense you can just score on them. So maybe this is the game that he has a lot of yards, or to your point, he lets the running game going. So I've got it 26-23 in this one. Matt Castle, that was the name of the guy you were thinking for KC?
No, it wasn't Matt Castle. It was
Alex Smith?
no. I'll find it out, Jack. He was the backup quarterback for years.
Chad Henne or Blaine Gabbert?
Henny. It might be Henny. I think it might have been Henny. It was one of the. He's an analyst now, I think, on Fox News or something like that. I have to look it up. I'll send it to you off.
All right.
Off. There's probably somebody listening to it screaming it from the top
you
of
guys
his
are
lungs.
so stupid. You're so
Yeah,
stupid.
exactly.
Let's go into the game that nobody seems to care about. Now, I mean, Miami, Mike McDaniel's had enough. He's benched Tua, and Tua's riding the pines now, whereas Joe Burrow, they got blown out last week. They're 4-10, but they're 2.5-point favorites. Heading into Miami, nice weather for Tua. Miami's 6-8, 50.5 is the over-under, which means a lot of points are going to be scored in this one. How do you like it? I mean, we talked about the apathy that Joe Burrow has shown, but then also Mike McDaniel is going, you know what? I don't want this guy on my team anymore. Quinn Ewer, I guess, is going to be the guy starting, over Mac Jones. So how do you like this one?
Zach Wilson over Zach. Which
Zach
I
Wilson,
thought they
sorry,
should have gone to Zach Wilson.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. I'm thinking.
Go with that Jets juju.
Yeah.
Where you like kind of basically just go. Let's go with the old Jets guy who's going to now turn it around and get us over the hump. I guess Ewers is like a 7th-round pick. This is just desperation. I mean, this feels like it's come from the owner. I think the owner never wanted to give to it this money. I think McDaniel kind of convinced him. It's like, it was one of the worst contracts. I think when everyone saw it, people were like, what are you doing? Like, again, with no Tyreek, definitely hurt them, but they're just a running team. And Tua, and we see him, Tua in cold weather was terrible against Steelers last week. Once that weather hits, he just can't rip it through the cold. Like his balls hang up there, and it's been bad for a couple of years. And I think the Dolphins with a new GM coming in, they're not going to keep McDaniel, and they're not going to want to keep Tua. But you can't get rid of Tua. He's a $99 million cap hit if you dead cap money if you trade him or you cut him. So he's kind of just stuck there, kind of like Kirk Cousins was in Atlanta. Just like, you're going to be our $50 million backup, I guess. And we're going to bring in somebody. Do they bring in, again, you can't bring in Kyler because you can't bring in someone short. They need someone tall, big, and strong like Dan Marino. And I think if you're the Dolphins, you kind of have to do what Denver did, because Denver's kind of was in the same situation with Russell Wilson. They kind of just, they took the hit. They drafted Bo Nix, and look at them. A year later, they're the number 1 seed. So I think they saw what happened there, and they're like, let's just stop this experiment. It's not working. Tua is infuriating. I think he's a good dude, but he's just not cut out for the big stages with the big boys and the big weather. So, again, I think Joe Burrow takes care of business. I think Ewers is going to be bad, and I think this is a blowout. I think it's going to be something like, I'm gonna go 30-10. I just think there's just no way Ewers really does anything. This guy was like a seventh round pick. I guess Mike McDaniel really believes this guy is like gonna do something, but there's only one Brock Purdy, and this guy is not Brock Purdy.
I've been going back and forth on this game, and I really don't know because I wonder if it looked last week when they got blanked by the Ravens that none of the team wanted to be there. No one was interested, and I wonder if they've had that locker room chat or if this continues. So I'm really sort of vexed because I originally had Cincy winning it by 10, and now I've got the Dolphins to win just because maybe the locker room. Because I think when you've got this new guy in, the seventh round pick, but maybe it's just like one of those. Okay, let's see what the kid does, and maybe there's some excitement in the room. He's got a couple more inches on Tua, and maybe this is his time to shine at home in Miami. So I've got Miami to win it now, 28-26. You got Achane, you still have some. We got Waddle. You've got Darren Waller. Maybe he can get it. Maybe Waller will look good in this game. I don't know, but I've gone back and forth. I'm probably wrong, but I got Miami to win 28-26. Moving to our 4 o'clock games, and Atlanta. Kirk Cousins is starting to play some football again. 2.5-point favorites. They're still 5-9, but when the division is 7-7 for the 2 winners, anything can happen. Arizona is 3-11, and nothing's really going to happen there. Speaking of quarterbacks they want to get rid of, but Atlanta 2.5-point favorites. 47.5 is the over/under. Is Atlanta right to be favored here, or do you think Arizona's got some surprises left?
I mean, not really. I think the way Kirk Cousins looks, why wouldn't you? I think Kyle Pitts is on the contract. He's having that end of the year contract season where he's gonna have big numbers, and just someone's gonna give him the big money. It's like, see, that's what he can do, and then they're gonna sign him for $20 million a year, and he's gonna be terrible. I'm gonna go with Atlanta. I think again, I'm gonna go Jacoby Brissett. I think Arizona doesn't really have a running game. They're literally very Trey McBride dependent. He's basically leading the NFL in receptions. He's been absolutely dominant in fantasy in the season. Marvin Harrison Jr., this guy is going into bust territory, which, considering he was supposed to be like the next great guy, I don't know what they do with him going forward. He can't get healthy, and when he's in, he's not really competent. So I'm just not a big fan of them. So I'm gonna go. What do you like? I'm gonna be thinking about this score for a second.
I'm gonna go with Arizona. I'm going to go with Arizona only because of the fact that Atlanta seems, I don't even know what the hell is up with this team. Some weeks are great and they're playing good football. You're like, oh my God, look at them go. Another weeks you're like, who the hell are you? And I think this is one of those who the hell are you weeks. I think Arizona, the start of the season, their defense was playing really good football, even though the offense wasn't. So I can see them happen. And yeah, you know what? You could try to cover McBride, but he's still going to get open. So I like Arizona. I got Arizona to win 24-23. I think it's up.
I'm gonna go with Atlanta because I think Kirk Cousins can kind of sniff a starting job next year. If he can have a couple more good games, they're kind of screwed, right? They're either going with Penix, you sit him for another year, maybe he learns a bit more, and Kirk Cousins has a decent year. You've lost your first round pick, so you're not getting a quarterback, or you're not doing anything. Your defense has looked a bit better. So to me, this is just like Kirk Cousins audition games. I think, again, he looked great last week against a team that was like a playoff, going for the division. He came in on primetime because Kirk Cousins back in the day, Monday night primetime, was one of the worst quarterbacks of all time. Like, he always stunk. And that was the thing about him. And he went out and just absolutely lit it up. So I think Kirk Cousins comes out, plays really well. I think Jacoby Brissett still slings it. So I'm going to go 30-24 for Atlanta.
Well, the game of the 4 o'clock games is this exciting one, which you never would have thought at the start of the season. Jacksonville 10-4, Denver 12-2. Denver 3-point favorites at home. Trevor Lawrence, Jacoby Myers has been playing really good, opening it up. You've got Etienne's playing good. Trevor Lawrence had 6 touchdowns last week, including one he ran in. But Denver, they were able to choke out the Packers. They looked really good when they were beating up on Green Bay. I enjoyed that very much. How do you like Denver at home against a feisty Jaguars team whose defense is also starting to play some good football as well?
I think this is like the battle of the teams no one believes in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no one really believes. Like, Bo Nix looked really good last week, but did you really believe it against a really good Packers defense? But again, I think the way Trevor Lawrence has actually been really good in the second half. He's kind of coming into his own. The fact that they've lost Travis Hunter, they got Brian Thomas, Jacoby Myers coming in. The defense is feisty, and Travis Etienne looked really good last week. I'm gonna go with the Jags for a little bit of a sneaky upset here. I think everyone's kind of picking the Broncos. They kind of come in. They've had some, not easy games, but I'm still not there yet with them. I think, again, they had a really good defense last year. And, a couple weeks ago, and Buffalo smoked them in the playoffs. A couple weeks ago, Washington almost beat them with a backup quarterback. So, I think, the Packers had some things with injuries and they couldn't really stop anything. I'm gonna go with little Trevor Lawrence playing this hot hand in December. He's still fighting for that division. I think the Broncos division, they've already wrapped up the division pretty much. I mean, it's not technically, but I think they will. So I think they still have the Raiders to go and I think the Chiefs one more time. So they should be fine. I think they slip up here and take care of business. The other games, I'm going with the Jags with a win, 27-22.
I'm with you on the Jags in this one. They're really starting to light it up, and that was pretty demonstrative last week. And they're looking good as the season goes on. And this was an emotional victory to beat the Packers last week. It was tough. Green Bay was putting up a good fight against them, and it seemed like they used a lot of energy in this one. So I like Jacksonville to win this one. I think Denver's defense is still going to cause them some problems. So I've got it 23-20. Jacksonville wins. But again, is this the AFC final to your point? I don't think so. I don't think these teams have it.
I don't think anyone
when one
that.
team wants to show up. A team that didn't show up and got beat up last week with Detroit Lions, again by the Rams. Pittsburgh is 8-6. Aaron Rodgers is starting to get on form here. But they're heading into a Detroit team who's 7-point favorites. Detroit has a lot of talent in terms of, how they can spread the ball around, running it, passing game. Detroit at home after the loss, they're 7-point favorites, 51.5 over under. Does Pittsburgh have a chance now that TJ Watt looks like he's going to be out for a while? How do you like them heading into Detroit?
I mean, they have a chance because Detroit's just, again, Jekyll and Hyde, they just don't have the consistency. But I think I'm going to go with the more desperate team. I think that's the Lions. The Lions lose their route, I think, pretty much. I don't think they're going to really get in anyway. I think unless, maybe someone like the Packers falls off with the injuries that they sustained, they're not able to kind of hold on for dear life. But to me, the Lions have just blown the last couple games, and now this is the season on the line. Dan Campbell's going to have this team biting kneecaps, doing whatever they have to do to kind of win this game. I think the Steelers, had a really nice kind of win last week, but I still think they're a flawed team. I think they depend on, Rodgers throws lots of passes to the running back. He doesn't want to get hit. I think they can get pressure on him. And I think, again, this whole Steelers season is going to come down to that week 18 Steelers versus Ravens for the division. I think,
Yeah.
Steelers lose today, win next week, and then it's the next one for it. So I am going to go with the Lions to win this. Desperate team, Jameer Gibbs, big game, Goff, big game. I'm going to go 6-23.
Yeah, you've got Pittsburgh to cover this one.
I'm gonna pick the Lions. Yeah,
Lions. Yeah, but Pittsburgh to cover. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think Pittsburgh's going to cover. I think they're going to get desperate. And to your point, Dan Campbell, fourth down man, is going to go for it a lot. I've got Detroit to win this one, 30-20. That was a really bad beating by the Rams last week. Really showed them just what kind of context they're in terms of how good they are in the NFC, and this is going to be desperate. Let's beat this AFC team. Rodgers has been playing good football, but you can shut him down. And he hasn't been, he's thrown a few deep balls, but I don't think he'll try as many on this game. So I got Detroit winning this one comfortably, 30-20. Heading into Houston, where Houston is starting to find their little push at the end. They're 9-5. Hosting a Las Vegas team who is just deplorable at 2-12. 14.5 points is the 14.5 is the over under. 38 points is 14.5 is the spread. 38 is over under. How do you like Houston? I mean, it should be an easy victory over this Las Vegas team.
How could you not bet everything you own for Houston to cover this? Philly won 31-0. You got even better defense coming in. What is Kenny Pickett going to do? Poor Brock Bowers, poor Genty. That's it. That's all they have. Genty and Bowers. Take them out. I don't see them scoring a point. I think they're going to get shut out again. I don't think I've ever really picked many shutouts in our picks over the years. But I'm thinking the Raiders get shut out back-to-back. I think Pete Carroll gets fired after this year and goes off to his little island to kind of – I think it's over for him. I think he knows it. And this team needs so much. I think they have to trade Max Crosby. I think there's nothing that says one team has everything to play for. One team is literally dead in the water. I'm going 38-0 for the Houston to win. I don't think this game, I'm going to bet them to cover. I don't think this game is even close. I think it's over by half.
Houston, to me, though, isn't one of those teams that has been putting a lot of points up every week.
It doesn't matter. Neither was the Eagles. Neither were the Eagles.
Yeah.
They couldn't score.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think they could, but I think that Las Vegas is going to have some sort of pride the way, what they're going to play. I got Houston to win. I'm not going to take a 14.5 point spread. just with the way that Houston, they've never really been able to cover those before. So I think there's one game that they dummied. So I think it was the Tennessee Titans that they dummied up. So I don't know. I've got Houston win at 21-10. I don't think it'll be a big scoring game. I think it's going to be ugly, fugly, juggly. Let's head into our Sunday night game. And New England, 11-3, heading into a Baltimore team who's 7-7. Baltimore's favored in this one. Favored by 3. 48 points is the over-under in this one. New England, tough loss against the Bills last week. We wonder what was going on because Drake May didn't look like himself in this one. He was shooking around on this one. Baltimore's desperate. But are they desperate enough to get a win against a New England team who, is 1-10 in a row? Do you think they're going to lose 2 in a row?
I do. I think it's a tough situation. Drake May going prime time, especially the thing is Drake May hasn't in his career had a fourth quarter comeback. He hasn't been able to when he was terrible in that second half. The Bills kind of were able to really kind of shut him down. And that wasn't even a good Bills defense. You're going up against a much tougher, desperate Ravens defense that plays really hard at night. I'm watching Buffalo play them last year. They got smoked. I think the Ravens they saw that James Cook could run it on them. They got Derrick Henry in December. You do not want to tackle in that cold weather. I think Lamar is playing better. I still think something's not right, but I just think there's just a talent discrepancy. I think Stephon Diggs has kind of disappeared over the last little while. This has kind of been, even in the last couple of years with Buffalo, December in the playoffs, he never played his best football. He's always really strong at the beginning. And if you could take away Stephon Diggs, you got Matt Collins, Trevion Henderson looked really good, but I think they're going to really work them and make Drake May make you beat me, make you beat us. I think Lamar gets them going. I don't think this is like a shootout in any means. I'm going to go 24-23 Ravens. I think it's really close. I think it could down to a kick or a touchdown at the end to win it. But I think Lamar does not want to go the Mahomes route of not making the playoffs, especially if they're going to know what happened to Pittsburgh early. If Pittsburgh loses to Detroit, then that's just going to make it even harder for the Patriots. And if they win, even makes it even harder. So it's like the Patriots to me are the most, and even the Patriots, this is the one they can lose. They lose this, they beat the Jets, they beat Quinn Ewers, they win the division. I think they're not feeling the pressure in this one, even though coming off a loss. I think it's a tough game. I think, I'm going to go trade for the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I think Baltimore is just the leaner, hungrier team in terms of this. And they know just, every loss is, you're just teetering on the brink of this. So, yeah, I'm with you on this one. I've got it 28-24. I think angry Lamar shows up. Derrick Henry has a big day as well. The defense is going to look at the playbook that, Buffalo used to really thwart them and choke them out in that second half. So I'm with you on this one. Baltimore wins. Final game. A battle of the AFC and the NFC as the old man Rivers is back again. He almost won a game.
He did.
But he was really good at reading defenses. He's not very good at mobility, but San Fran is getting healthy, though. That's the unfortunate thing for them. San Fran is 10-4, and they're watching the Rams starting to own this division. They could use a win here. 6-point favorites against an 8-6 Colts team. The Colts at home in the Dome. 46.5 is the over-under. Colts have a chance here, or will the 49ers keep on trucking?
I think the Colts have a chance. I think the Niners are, again, they beat Tennessee last week. I think the Niners have had a very easy schedule. I think they're punching a bit above their weight, considering, they've lost a lot of guys. I'm going to go with a Phillip Rivers upset victory in prime time for fun. I have a soft spot at Christmas. This is like a Rivers. We're going to turn this into like a Hallmark Christmas film one year. It'll be like Old Man Rivers, it'll be called. Remember that one game in December that he won near Christmas? And I think this is just kind of fun. I think with another weekend, I think they can run with Jonathan Taylor. I think, again, you got the weapons. You got Pittman, you got Josh Downs, you got Tyler Warren, you got Alec Pierce, you got so many weapons. And, he wasn't terrible last week. He was quite competent. Going up against a really tough Seattle defense, and he almost beat them. And I think that's got to count for something. I think the Niners haven't really, again, they're playing a desperate team in Indy. Indy has to win or they're out. The Niners could probably afford a loss, but even with the division, I just think this is just a funny, weird. I love a little Rivers Christmas magic with the. So I'm going to go with Rivers. Fun little game, 21-20. That he wins.
I would love a Christmas miracle like that. I just don't see it happening with a 49ers team that knows, because they're going to see if the Rams win this game, and obviously. You got Seattle and them in this division, both 11-3, and the 49ers have, got to wonder how they fit into all of this. So I think they got to keep working. I think Kittle has a feast of a game in this one. They're going to watch that Seattle game and figure out how, that Rivers does struggle to get the ball down. He struggles mobility, and he doesn't have that deep ball that he used to have. He doesn't have that same rocket, but he's really good at reading defenses. So I've got the 49ers to win this one 28-16. They get the win. I get them easily covering this one because if it puts too much pressure on Rivers to keep this one close, I think he'll struggle in this one. Folks, that's it for this episode. Good luck with all your Week 16. We'll let you know how Ryan and I do in our fantasy football. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll be back next week, different time probably, with because it's Christmas and some of you have children and stuff. All right. Thanks a lot for listening, everyone.